Resveratrol is a potent antioxidant. It boosts brain-derived nootropic factor. It increases cerebral circulation, improves energy and memory, and it potentially promotes longevity. Resveratrol is a polyphenol stilbenoid and a phytoalexin that certain plants produce in response to stress, such as an injury or fungal infection. Resveratrol is a naturally occurring compound found most famously in red wine. Some speculate that resveratrol found in the wine accounts for the French paradox and how the French can dine on baguettes, cheese, pâté, and pastries while avoiding putting on weight and living longer. Recent research may soon lead the nootropics community to classifying resveratrol as an ampakine nootropic, with some rather profound neuroprotective effects in the brain. Resveratrol is gaining a reputation among neurohackers for controlling brain inflammation, boosting dopamine, helping to reverse cognitive decline, and fighting brain cell aging. Higher levels of brain-derived nootropic factor are associated with increased intelligence, mood, productivity, and memory, and decreases the risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Resveratrol increases brain-derived nootropic factor in the hippocampus. Resveratrol protects your brain by boosting the production of the enzyme heme oxygenase, and this protects against oxidative stress. Resveratrol shields mitochondria from injury during interruptions in blood flow, such as a stroke, and resveratrol prevents the release of toxic glutamate during a stroke. It even protected the brain when administered 6 hours after a stroke. Resveratrol increases blood flow in the brain. Improving your brain's blood flow increases oxygen and nutrient levels, providing your brain with the fuel that it needs for optimized cognition. Resveratrol is a naturally derived polyphenol antioxidant. This phytoalexin helps the plant fight fungal infections, insect infestation, stress, and ultraviolet radiation, and we're finding that resveratrol could be a potent nootropic. Initial research on resveratrol led the researchers to believe that the compound works by mimicking calorie restriction and decreasing chronic inflammation. As soon as the word got out about the first clinical studies at Harvard Medical School, red wine and resveratrol were soon christened the new fountain of youth. Dr. Sinclair, who led the Harvard study, said you'd need to drink 100 to 1,000 glasses of red wine to have an equal dose of resveratrol to improve the health like was used in the mouse study. However, more research has revealed some rather profound benefits to adding resveratrol to your diet. Several human studies show that resveratrol can increase cerebral circulation, protect against heart disease, and increase insulin sensitivity in diabetics. Even more studies in animals have shown that resveratrol can reduce depression, treat addictions, protect against memory loss. It's anti-anxiety. It reduces plaque in Alzheimer's disease. It improves learning, memory, and mood. It protects the brain from a stroke, and it shields from hearing loss. Resveratrol is found in red wine, blueberries, cranberries, raspberries, bilberries, grapes, peanuts, pistachios, cacao, and dark chocolate. Resveratrol is an inhibitor of the enzyme PDE4. PDE4 inhibitors have been shown to be memory enhancers. Some demonstrate that when you inhibit the PDE4, you raise the levels of CAMP in the brain. CAMP-dependent pathways in the brain activate AMPK. This effect of activating AMPK has a number of implications. First, this would make resveratrol an ampakine nootropic similar to some of the racetams. Second, studies show that AMPK is activated by increases in cellular AMP to ATP ratio. This helps to preserve cellular energy, and it would account at least for some of resveratrol's neuroprotective properties. A study at the Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis, Missouri, demonstrated that resveratrol, when combined with the nootropic Alcar, increased neurite growth, which would have a profound effect on boosting memory. And resveratrol also stimulated mitochondrial biogenesis. The researchers concluded these findings suggest that neural activation of AMPK by resveratrol could affect neuronal energy homeostasis and could contribute to the neuroprotective effects of the resveratrol. Brain-derived nootropic factor has been called Miracle-Grow for the brain by Harvard neuropsychiatrist John Rattley. When brain-derived nootropic factor is released, nerve cells connect to other cells or to their synapses. As brain cells fire together, they wire together, and this is how new neural networks are formed and consolidated to create memory. Researchers in Iran administered resveratrol to rats for 30 days. The team was looking at the effects of resveratrol on the abundance of mRNA encoding brain-derived nootropic factor in the hippocampus. The team measured levels of brain-derived nootropic factor in the rat's brain, and they found that resveratrol elevated the level of brain-derived nootropic factor in the hippocampus of these rats, and they concluded that the neuroprotective effects of resveratrol are due to its ability to boost the brain-derived nootropic factor mRNA. As we get older, the chemistry in our brain cells and our energy metabolism changes. Neurons and synapses degenerate. Recall, reaction time, memory, and mood diminish. Cerebral circulation decreases. Neurotransmitter levels decline. Oxidation damages the brain cells. All of these age-related changes are contributing factors to the neurodegenerative diseases of aging, including Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and dementia. But even if things haven't degenerated to such a debilitating level, resveratrol can still help you. Resveratrol is an antioxidant polyphenol, which is present in foods like red wine, green tea, apples, berries, and pomegranates. Polyphenols are among the most effective natural ways to combat aging and to prevent the health issues that often lead to cardiovascular disease and neurodegenerative diseases. Resveratrol helps to prevent free radical damage to brain cells. Oxidative damage to brain cell membranes causes deterioration and eventually leads to premature cell death, also known as apoptosis. Resveratrol has the unique ability to modulate cell apoptosis, and it promotes cell death only in instances where your brain would be healthier with fresh new cells. Resveratrol promotes neurogenesis. It inhibits the PDE4 enzyme, and this raises the levels of CAMP in your brain. Much like luteolin from artichoke extract in the CILTEP stack, CAMP-dependent pathways in the brain activate AMPK, and this in turn energizes brain cells and boosts memory. Resveratrol helps boost cerebral circulation and brain-derived nootropic factor. The brain-derived nootropic factor helps new neural networks to form, which is the basis for memory formation. Research shows that resveratrol can improve memory by inhibiting PDE4 in the brain. It can tame inflammation in the brain, boost cerebral blood flow for more oxygen and nutrients to fuel brain cells. It can increase brain-derived nootropic factor, helping new neural networks to form for memory consolidation. And its neuroprotective qualities prevent damage to brain cells. Resveratrol quickly enters your brain after you take it. Once in your brain, it inhibits the PDE4, and this boosts the CAMP activity. The CAMP is involved in the long-term potentiation process of preserving memories. Inhibiting PDE4 and boosting CAMP also makes the effects of normal dopamine production more effective. Boosting processes in this stream of chemical reactions in the brain increases learning and memory, without the side effects of stimulating dopamine production through the use of drugs like Adderall or Ritalin. Neurohackers report the effects of resveratrol can be subtle, but you don't want to take it later in the afternoon or it could affect how you sleep. You may experience improved mood and motivation, increased ability to study, increased ability to retain information, and improved long-term memory. As a young neurohacker, you might not be concerned about the horrors of a disease like Alzheimer's. Yet several clinical studies make the case for using resveratrol to boost your memory and to avoid ever having to be concerned about such a debilitating disease. 84,767 Americans die every year from Alzheimer's disease, and more than 230,000 suffer from dementia severe enough to require nursing home care. The Alzheimer's Association estimates that more than 5 million Americans are living with this disease, and you've got a 1 in 3 chance of developing Alzheimer's or another form of dementia in your lifetime. Some of resveratrol's neuroprotective ability comes from its ability to interfere with a cascade of events arising from an accumulation of abnormal proteins called amyloid beta. Amyloid beta causes oxidative stress and inflammation, and this damages brain cells, especially in memory centers in the brain. Hence the reason why Alzheimer's causes such profound memory loss. A study conducted at the Litwin Zucker Research Center for the study of Alzheimer's disease in New York looked at the cascade of events that leads up to amyloid beta accumulation that causes much of the problem with Alzheimer's. The research team demonstrated how resveratrol activates several metabolic sensors, including the AMPK. AMPK signaling controls amyloid beta's metabolism. So resveratrol activates AMPK, and this reduces the levels of amyloid beta deposits in the cerebral cortex. Another study in Italy showed how resveratrol prevents amyloid beta aggregation by scavenging oxygen-free radicals and inducing protective enzymes such as heme oxygenase, again preventing the buildup of the deposits that cause Alzheimer's. More recent studies show that resveratrol can prevent amyloid beta proteins from clumping together into small collections of individual molecules called oligomers. This action alone has a profound effect on preventing amyloid beta damage and preventing Alzheimer's. And one more study, again about resveratrol's ability to activate AMPK and to reduce amyloid beta buildup, shows that resveratrol crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it stays in the brain to do its magic, verifying that using resveratrol as a nootropic is an effective cognitive enhancer. The research team at the Max Planck Institute of Human Cognitive and Brain Sciences investigated the effects of resveratrol on brain function and memory in healthy, overweight, older adults. 23 people aged 50 to 75 took 200 milligrams of resveratrol daily for 26 weeks. The control group of 23 subjects took a placebo. Memory tasks, neuroimaging, microstructure, and functional connectivity of the hippocampus were all measured before and after the trial. The study found that resveratrol had a significant impact on the subject's ability to remember words. Subjects had a significant increase in functional connectivity in the hippocampus, and there was a decline in glycated hemoglobin, or the HbA1c. This indicates improved blood sugar control. The researchers concluded that resveratrol can enhance memory, along with better hippocampus function. A study conducted at Northumbria's University at Newcastle upon Tyne in the UK assessed the effects of resveratrol on cognition and cerebral blood flow in healthy adults. In this double-blind, placebo-controlled study, 22 adults received a placebo and 2 doses, 250 milligrams and 500 milligrams of resveratrol in counterbalanced order on separate days. The subjects performed a selection of cognitive tasks that activate the frontal cortex 45 minutes after taking the resveratrol. Near-infrared spectroscopy assessed frontal cortex changes in oxygenated and deoxygenated hemoglobin in order to evaluate blood flow and hemodynamics during the 36 minutes of the task performance. The research team found that resveratrol increased the cerebral circulation, and this effect was entirely dependent on the size of the dose of resveratrol. Blood flow was determined by measuring total hemoglobin concentrations. The researchers concluded that resveratrol can increase cerebral blood flow even with a single dose of the supplement. Resveratrol is found in small quantities in red wine and some plant foods. Red wine contains about 1.5 to 3 milligrams of resveratrol per litre of wine. So if you do the maths, comparable amounts of resveratrol from red wine for 150-pound person means 750 to 1,500 bottles of red wine a day. Resveratrol has a considerably short half-life and is easily absorbed, but it has poor bioavailability once it's digested. Its half-life is 1 to 3 hours and 2 to 5 hours following repeated dosing. Micronized resveratrol has a much smaller particulate size and has been shown to have a 3.6-fold increase in bioavailability when compared to standard resveratrol. Many of the clinical studies done in animals would suggest a human equivalent of 1 to 2 grams per day for a 150 to 200-pound person. Based on all the published studies, the recommended daily dose of resveratrol is 20 milligrams for heart health, insulin sensitivity, and longevity. For cognitive benefit and increasing cerebral blood flow, a recommended dose is 250 milligrams to 500 milligrams. It's better to dose on the lower end of the recommended dose for resveratrol and see how your body reacts first before increasing it. Resveratrol is a non-toxic supplement and is well tolerated by most people. We don't have many human studies on resveratrol, so we must rely on user reports. Resveratrol has a mild estrogenic activity in the body, so if your estrogen is low, you should avoid supplementing with resveratrol. This is a potentially serious side effect, and short of getting your labs done, it may show up as joint pain or arthritis-like symptoms. Some users report having trouble sleeping or staying asleep, particularly if you take it in the afternoon or the evening. If you're dealing with a blood disorder which causes bleeding, you should avoid resveratrol. If you're taking aspirin, warfarin, or clopidogrel, you should not use resveratrol. Long-term side effects reported by some users include diarrhea, discolored urine, dizziness, insomnia, jitters, joint pain, stomach pain, and tendinitis. Resveratrol is unique among antioxidants because it easily crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it helps to protect your brain from free radical damage. Resveratrol helps to improve memory by influencing the CAMP-dependent pathways in your brain that activate AMPK. And resveratrol boosts cerebral blood flow, which increases the amount of oxygen and nutrients that your brain cells need for optimized cognition. Resveratrol is especially helpful for those who are concerned about developing Alzheimer's or dementia, because it helps to prevent the accumulation of abnormal proteins like amyloid beta. It's suggested you start with a low dose to first see how it affects your body. It's a great complement to stack with other nootropics. One study showed that resveratrol works synergistically with Alcar to boost memory, and resveratrol works particularly well when combined with pterostilbene.